We're going to look at Pythagorean Theorem and finding the missing side of a right triangle, or proving that if we are given three sides, if it would make a right triangle. So the side view of Miss Marigold's roof on her house is shown below. Find the height of Miss Marigold's roof. So the big thing here is that they give us this distance all the way across, but we only need this distance right here to be able to find the height, because it would make that right triangle that we have. So I'm looking for my height. I have my 26. So this distance would be half of that 48, which gives me a 24. Now remember to know, the most important side of our right triangle is C, and to be able to find that, we draw that arrow to find that missing side. So if I have A, B, and C, I know this 26 has to go where C is at. I can be looking for A, and B can be 24. So if I do A squared, I'm going to substitute 24 in for B, so I'm going to have 24 squared, and substitute 26 in for C, so I have 26 squared. I'm going to then square those. So 24 squared is 576, 26 squared is 676, and then I've got to get A squared by itself. So to get A squared by itself, I've got to get rid of that 576. So I'm going to subtract 576. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I get A squared is equal to 100. And then to get A by itself, because I want to just know what A is, not A squared, I've got to take this, to undo squaring something, I've got to take the square root of it. So to take the square root of 100 would then be 10. So I know the height of her, roof would be 10 feet. Then on number 2 here, I've got to make my right triangle to be able to find what those measurements are. So if I go and count, this has a height of 8 and this has a length of 6. Again, if I draw my arrow and point to C, that is the side that I'm missing. So if I have, go and substitute my numbers in. So if I have A, B, and C, I have 8, 6, and I'm looking. So I'm going to have 8 squared plus 6 squared equals C squared. So I have 64 plus 36 is equal to C squared. And I get 100 is equal to C squared. So again, I need C just by itself, so I've got to take the square root. So I get 10 is equal to C. But I've got to go back and read. So it says if each unit on the graph represents 3/4 of a mile, how many miles does Nate live from his favorite restaurant? So I know that 1 unit is 3/4 of a mile. And if I have 10 units, I've got to figure out how many miles that is. So to go from 1 unit to 10, I multiply by 10. So to go from 3/4 of a mile to figure out how many that is, I've got to multiply by 10. So 10 times 3/4 would give me 7.5 miles. So he would be 7.5 miles away from his favorite restaurant. So let's look at a couple of things here. I kind of went over a lot of this stuff already doing those 2 examples with you. Always draw this arrow right here, because it will always point to C. And C is the one that has the most important spot in the formula because it's by itself over there. We know that C is the hypotenuse, and it is the longest side. So that is why it is so important. Then to look at the Pythagorean theorem converse, what that basically means is that you are proving that if you are given 3 sides, would it make a right triangle or not? So if I was given 16, 30, and 34, you would basically have to try them in the formula to see if it works. So they squared each of those, and I got 1156 equals 1156. So yes, those would make a right triangle. But then if I tried these, for A squared plus B squared equals C squared, I get 288 and 576, and they do not equal each other, so that would mean that it would not be a right triangle. Something else you have to be careful of is sometimes it's going to ask about the areas of your shapes, and you can identify the area by it saying units squared. So I know that this number here is the area of these squares because it says units squared, and I know that this one plus this one, these added together, should equal that one. So 9 plus 16 does equal 25. So I know that the side lengths of 3, 4, and 5 would make a right triangle. Also, 3, 4, and 5 is a triplet, and it's a perfect right triangle. It will always work. Lastly, I did an example like this. You can see here's just another example. You have to draw these distances in. A lot of times they don't give them to you, so you have to draw them in, count the side lengths, and then you are always looking for C when it's like this. And you have to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If you have any questions, let me know.